Hello guys, in this session we will be discussing the solutions for the graded assignment of week 4 English. Let's begin. So here in the first slide we have choose the appropriate pause for the following sentences in the audio, right? In the given audio, right? So you guys got here the audio file and then try answering these questions, right? So here in the first question we have so far as the ultimate goal is concerned, I think none of us need have any apprehensions. None of us need have any doubt, right? So we got to figure out like where we make a pause after pronouncing two words or couple of words, right? Or maybe a sentence, right? So here we have in the first option, so far as the ultimate goal is concerned, I think none of us need have any apprehensions. So here we make a long pause and this indicates like the end of the sentence. Okay, then we have none of us need have any doubt, right? So this seems correct for now. Let's check the other options. So we have here so far as the ultimate goal is concerned. So here itself we get to know that after we say the ultimate goal is concerned, like we don't make a pause here, we say as the ultimate goal is concerned as a whole, as a whole sentence, like we don't make any pause in between this sentence, right? So here this would be wrong, right? So we got the wrong thing at the beginning itself here, right? So let's move on. Let's see the third option here. We have so far as the, okay, like here we get the wrong pause here at the beginning. Like after we say so far we make a pause actually, and we don't make a pause here, right? We say as the ultimate goal is concerned as a whole sentence, right? So here again we get the thing wrong, right? So the first option should be the correct option for the first question, right? So let's move on to the next question. So in the second slide we have a sentence again, and we got to figure out the appropriate pauses for this sentence, right? So we have the sentence as our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mass that we have today take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity, right? So we got to figure out the appropriate pauses. So if we look at our first sentence, we have our difficulty is how to make the, right? So what's wrong here is at the beginning itself we don't say the sentence as our difficulty, then take a pause and then again say is how to make the, right? So we got the wrong pauses here. So the actual pause should have been our difficulty is how to make, right? So these are the wrong pauses which make this option wrong. So the correct way of saying this and going through this sentence should be our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mass that we have today, right? Then take a decision, again make a pause, in common, again make a pause, and march in a cooperative way, again make a pause, on that road which is bound to lead us to unity, right? So this first option is wrong. If we see the second option, we have our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mass that we have today take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity, right? So for now this option seems to be perfectly put in correctly, right? So let us have a look at our third option here. Our difficulty is how to. So here what's wrong is we don't say just how to, we say how to make as a whole sentence, right? We don't say, right, like our difficulty is how to make, like see, like it will just mean we are going through a sentence word by word, right? So that's not the case, like that's not the correct way of going through this sentence while pronouncing. So this option is wrong. It should have been how to make, like we got like the pauses should have been here and here, right? But we got a pause here, which makes this option wrong, right? So option B here should be the correct option. So let's move on to the next slide. So in the third question we have again a sentence, so we got to again figure out the appropriate pauses for this sentence, right? So in the sentence we have our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate, our difficulty is with regard to the beginning, right? So so let us have a look at our options here. So we have, in the first option we have our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate, our difficulty. So here what's wrong is we don't say our difficulty and then take a pause and we say is not. So we don't take pauses here, right? We say this whole sentence, right? This whole sentence, which is this whole sentence, we say it in a one go, right? So we don't take pause anywhere while pronouncing this whole sentence, while saying this whole sentence, right? So we take a pause here, right? So this is one whole sentence and this is another sentence, right? So we say this in a one go, our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate, and then we take a pause and then we continue our difficulties with regard to the beginning, right? So let us see which of our options matches with this criteria, right? So if we see the second option, we again have a pause here in between the first sentence, so this also makes the option wrong and this is already wrong. So we are only left with the third option, which let us have a look at that. Our difficulty is not with regard to the ultimate, we take a pause as I mentioned above, and then we say our difficulty is with regard to the beginning and we take a long pause. So that's the end of the sentence. So this should be the right option for the third question, right? Let's move on to the next question. So here in the fourth question we have again a sentence. We got to again figure out the appropriate pauses for the sentence, right? So we have the sentence as, Mr. Chairman, therefore I should have thought that in order to make a start, in order to induce every party, every section, every section in this country, it would be the act of greatest statesmanship for the majority party even to make a concession to the prejudices of people who are not prepared to march together, and it is for that I, I propose to make this appeal, right? So we make pauses at these places where I marked, right? So let us see which of our options may match this criteria, right? So in the first option we have Mr. Chairman and then a pause here. So we don't make a pause here, instead we make a pause here after saying therefore, right? So we say, Mr. Chairman, therefore I should have thought. Okay, then again we make a pause here, but in this option they have made a pause here, right? So this at the beginning itself doesn't meet some criteria and so is wrong. So let us have a look at our second option here. So if it says, Mr. Chairman, therefore, I should have thought that in order to make a start, in order to induce every party, so these we say them with the pause, every party, every section in this country, it would be the act of greatest statesmanship for the majority party even to make the concession to the prejudices of the people who are not prepared to march together, and it is for that I propose to make this appeal. So this is the option that matches the above criteria which I mentioned, I mean the above pauses, right? So this matches with the above pauses that I just explained. So the option B should be the right option here, right? So let us then move on to the next question. So here in the fifth question, we have again a sentence. So we got to again figure out the appropriate pauses while going through this sentence, right? So we have, let us leave aside the slogans. Let us leave aside the words which frighten people, right? So these are just two sentences, right? So we say this thing in a one go, and we then take a pause here, and then we say this whole thing in another go, right? So just one pause here between these two sentences, right? So let's see which of our options matches with the above criteria that I mentioned. So here we have in the first option, let us leave. So we don't make a pause here, and we don't make a pause here too. Like we say, let us leave aside slogans as one, and then we make a pause here, and then we say, let us leave aside words which frighten people, and end the sentence, right? So this first option would be wrong. So in the second option, then we have, let us leave aside slogans, let us leave. So we don't make a pause here actually. We say this as one sentence, and we say this whole thing as another sentence. So there should be only one pause in between these two, but here they have made a pause here, so which makes this option also wrong. So we are only left with third option, which says, let us leave aside slogans. So that is our first sentence, and when we take a pause, and then we go with the second sentence in a one go, let us leave aside words which frighten people. So that's our second sentence, and then we end the sentence, right? So we just have one pause here, which is same as I explained above. So the third option here, would be the right option. Let us move on. So here in the sixth question, we have a fill in the blanks type of question, right? Mark the appropriate response for this question. So we have Dipti here. So let us read the sentence first. Dipti is not here. Could you please? And we have fill in the blank here, right? So we are talking to a third person who is related to Dipti, right? And we are talking to a third person here. We are collecting information about Dipti, right? So the third person says that Dipti is not currently available, right? So she says, could you please, and we got to fill in this. So speak up. So speak up would not be a right option here. Like it would mean like for us to say something, right? So that would not meet the correct. So that this first option would not be appropriate, right? And then we have hang up. So that would be kind of rude. So when if they say Dipti is not here, could you please hang up? Hang up means to cut the call, right? To cut the call. so that would be rude, so of course they won't say that. So this also would be wrong option. So again we have hang on. So hang on means to hold on for a minute or two. So hang on means to hold on. So when Dipti is itself, so when Dipti is not available at all, so why would they say hold on and waste our time, right? So if Dipti was available and busy in some other work, they would like using hold on here would be appropriate. But she is not available, like this means that the sentence means that she has gone somewhere outside, right? So not here means she's not available currently at the place where you're talking to the third person, talking with the third person, right? So when Dipti is not here, they won't say could you please hang up and waste our time, right? So hang on would be wrong option. So ring her later here would be the correct option, as we know that Dipti is not available, right? And like Dipti is somewhere out, so the third person would say to us that could you please ring her later. So like instead of wasting our time by saying hang on, so ring her later here would be the correct response for this phrase, right? So yeah, option D should be the correct option here. So then let's move on. So here in the seventh question, we have again a true or false kind of question now. So let us see what it says. When someone says your voice is echoing, right? So when someone says your voice is echoing, it becomes evident that voice is resurfacing and hence teleconversation is not clear. So echoing happens when there is some kind of voice resurfacing, right? So when someone says your voice is echoing, so in fact what actually is happening is your voice is resurfacing, right? So so this can, like what they're saying here is true, like echoing happens when there is voice resurfacing, and hence when there is echoing the conversation would not be clear, right? So this is true. Let's move on. So here in the eighth question now we have, again this is again a true or false kind of question. So we have the phrase speak up means to tone down the voice. So does speak up actually mean tone down? No, right? Speak up means to say something or to reveal something, right? That we are trying to hide. So speak, while tone down means to like talk in a lower voice, right? So this speak up means to say something, to say something, while tone down means to lower our voice, right? So speak up doesn't mean to lower our voice. Speak up means to say up something that we're trying to hide or just hesitating to say, right? So this would be false, right? Right. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. So here in the ninth question we have Geeta, while speaking to Mary on the phone, which means on the call, hears some vibrating noises, right? So choose the best appropriate sentence that Geeta should use to convey her problem. So which among the following options should Geeta use to convey her problem to Mary that her voice is vibrating, right? So let us have a look at our options. So should she be using your voice is echoing? So first of all, vibrating has nothing to do with echoing. Echoing is resurfacing, when resurfacing of voice happens, right? So vibrating has nothing to do with echoing, so this would be wrong option. Your voice is jarring, right? So jarring actually means to vibrate, right? When something vibrates, we say it's jarring. So for now, this option is correct. Let us let us go through the remaining options one quickly. So then we have, you have to speak up. So speak up means to say something that we are hesitant, that like to say something that we are hesitating to speak up about, right? To speak about, right? So when we are hesitating to speak about something, the other person says speak up, come on, speak up, right? So this has nothing to do with vibrating noise, right? So you are not audible would mean like I'm not able to get what you're saying clearly, right? So you're not audible would mean like you're not, like I can't hear you properly, right? So but what we want here is to convey our problem of that her voice is vibrating, right? So jarring, like your voice is jarring. So Geeta can say here your voice is jarring. So jarring means, the word jarring means when something is vibrating, right? So jarring means vibrating. So option B here would be the correct option, right? So let's move on to the 10th question. So here in the 10th question we have a true or false type of question. So we have the phrase pick up in the context of telephonic conversation means to answer the call. So what they are trying to ask here is, does the phrase pick up while we are talking on, while we are speaking on a call, while we are on a call, does the phrase pick up means to answer the call? So they are asking whether pick up means to answer the call. So yes, like we all know, right? Like when we say pick up while having a conversation on a call, it means to, like we are trying to say, means to answer the call, right? So here pick up means to answer the call would be right, like that's the right meaning for the phrase pick up, right? So yeah, true, the correct option should be true here. So that ends this session. Thank you.